Welcome back to the movie recap. Today's movie will be a 2010 Russian-Belarusian war film titled Fortress of War. Sit back, relax and enjoy the video. The movie begins one morning in Brest City Park on the 21st of June, 1941. A 15-year-old boy named Sasha Akimov is playing his trumpet in front of the crowd. His brother Andrei catches a glimpse of him and swiftly follows him when he runs off. Andrei halts him and furiously orders him to return to the fortress. Sasha reluctantly follows his order and leaves. Sometime later, in a railway station, Regimental Commissar Yefim Fomin learns that he cannot fetch his family to Brest due to the shortage of train tickets. Hopeless, Kolya picks him up to return to the fortress. Meanwhile, in NKVD Lieutenant Weinstein's office, Major Pyotr Gavrilov concerningly admits to Weinstein that he is spreading the rumor of the incoming German invasion in the fortress. He anxiously shows him the fortress map to elaborate on their chances of being trapped inside once invaded. Finally, he warns him that the war is about to take place, yet, people are nonchalant and unconvinced by his claims. Sometime later at night in a movie theater, Kolya and Sonia watch the movie flash on the screen. Sadly, the movie gets interrupted when the whole fortress loses power and experiences a blackout. Simultaneously at the railway station, the Nazi forces arrive while disguised as Soviet soldiers. Unfortunately, the Brest citizens are oblivious to their arrival, making the Nazis capable of surrounding and subverting them. Lieutenant Andrei Mitrofanovich Kizhevatov is conversing with his wife about their daughter Anya. In the middle of their conversation, his wife asks him about the rumors about the German invasion. Confidently, he tells his wife that the rumors are baseless and untrue. Sasha and Anya conversed in their music room. Anya insists on going fishing with Sasha tomorrow. Sasha refuses as he perceives Anya is prohibited from going out. So Anya will escape tomorrow morning. The next day, Sasha and Anya go fishing on a nearby lake. Unexpectedly, the lake gets bombed and causes panic to them. They hastily flee the lake separately. On the other hand, as Kolya and Sonia are sleeping in the movie theater, they are disrupted by loud bomb sounds. Kolya goes out and sees people dying from the attack. Sonia remains inside, frightened and emotional. After some time, Sonia gets stuck in the movie theater room when the debris begins falling. Unfortunately, Kolya cannot return quickly because he struggles to save himself from bombs coming his way. In an instant, the Nazis bombard the fortress with heavy artilleries. Citizens swiftly escape to save themselves. Unprepared, numerous citizens and Soviet soldiers died. Simultaneously, Anya's family is unable to find her in their house. Kizhevatov assures to look for her while his family stays at their hideout. Gavrilov and his family flee their house. Unfortunately, their home falls in a split second when a bomb drops into it. Nevertheless, Gavrilov sends them away to find their hideout. As Sasha returns to the fortress, he shockingly sees the whole place covered in smoke and people attempting to save their lives. In addition, he notices how the Nazis shoot at them unmercifully. Dazed and confused, Sasha hides to save himself. Later, he arrives at the NKVD battalion barracks and notices Soviet soldiers in panic. Soldiers furiously seize weapons without permission. Sticking by the rules, Sasha grabs his trumpet to serve as his weapon in the battle. The bomb temporarily stops, causing momentary relief to the Russians. Later that day, citizens hastily flee through the northern gate, not knowing what's waiting on the other side. As they exit the tunnel, the Nazis remorselessly shoot them. Consequently, numerous dead bodies block the gate. Same time at the eastern fort, Soviet soldiers panically fled their barracks unarmed. Major Gavrilov arrives and furiously does his warning shots to catch their attention. Finally, he authoritatively orders them to return to their barracks to grab weapons and be in a defensive position. Meanwhile, at Kolm Gate, Commissar Fomin takes charge of the resistance zone of Soviet soldiers. After a while, they spot the Nazis and shoot them all. While the battle's ongoing, Fomin contacts the superior officer for a request for reinforcement. Simultaneously, Lieutenant Kizhevatov heads the 9th Frontier Outpost. Minutes later, the Nazis arrive and observe movements from their surroundings. On a lookout, Kizhevatov commences open fire against the Nazis. Consequently, the Nazis readily shoot at them to fight back. During the battle, Kizhevatov uses his handgun to kill the Nazis. Then, in the spur of the moment, a Nazi officer almost pierces his chest with a knife. Fortuitously, the Nazi officer is taken down by one of Kizhevatov's men. In the same setting, Kolya manages to return back to Sonia. However, the Nazi appears behind him and throws him down on the ground. The Nazis leave him there, assuming he died from the fall. Meanwhile, A German commando pretends to be a Soviet superior officer to undermine the defense of the 132nd NKVD battalion barracks. Luckily, NKVD Lieutenant Vanstein outsmarts him as he discovers his boots are different from theirs. He shoots him to death as he attempts to escape their barracks. Moments later, captured hospital staff and patients suddenly appeared at Koln Gate. The Nazis hold them hostage while Famine slowly walks to them unarmed. Seconds later, Famine signals his men to shoot the Nazis while the captured citizens take cover. The citizens are sent to the basement to hide as the shooting stops. Famine bewilderingly goes back to their post unharmed. Then, he orders his men to investigate Brest. After a while, Famine's men return to report their findings. They learn that the northern gate is blocked by dead bodies, and there are no entrances, thus making them unable to enter the fortress of Brest. Meanwhile, at the Soviet officer's house, Sasha searches for his brother Andrei. Instead, he finds his uncle Vanya and his wife Shura exhausted from defending their home. As he learns his brother is nowhere near, Vanya orders him to leave. As Sasha leaves, the couple commits suicide before the Nazis reach their position. In the eastern port, heavily armed Nazis approach them with 3 military tanks. Gavrilov orders the soldiers to take the position and stand by. In support, Andrei, Sasha's brother, uses his anti-tank gun on 2 Nazi tanks. Unfortunately, as he's about to succeed, the remaining tank gets shot down to death. After that, Gavrilov commences the attack. His men open fire and fight the Nazis. Sometime later, Nazi commandos order a retreat and ceasefire. As the shooting stops, Gavrilov orders his men to gather their dead comrades and bury them. At the same time, NKVD battalion barracks are outnumbered. With only 18 defenders left, they suffer from hunger, thirst, and no reinforcement for days. In hopes, Vanstein claims support will come to their rescue soon. At night, Kizhevatov returns to his family's hideout alone. He searches for his daughter Anya amongst them, yet, she's nowhere to be found. So finally, he orders them to depart to the basement of their barracks because their hideout is about to collapse. The next day, Sasha wakes up beside a corpse in a completely bombarded area. He notices citizens surrendering to the Nazis. He hastily runs towards Kizhevatov's post. He asks Kizhevatov if Anya's with him. Unfortunately, he discovers Anya is missing, so he impetuously leaves to search for her. On his departure, he manages to arrive at Koln Gate. He sees Famine's men interrogating a Nazi officer they managed to capture. After a while, a Soviet fighter named Lieutenant Karelin is piloting an aircraft arriving at Brest. Nazi aircraft begins shooting and destroying it. Karelin lands at the fortress and is rescued by Famine's men. He reports the current situation in Brest and where the other Red Army's heading. The atmosphere becomes silent when soldiers hear the news. Meanwhile, Kolya manages to wake up from the fall and escape. However, he hides in a trench and hears Sonia emotionally screaming from a distance. As Sonia attempts to escape, the Nazis forcibly drag her back to the movie theater. Sadly, Kolya is incapable of rescuing her. After that, as Famine's men fight against the Nazis, Sasha leaves to willingly deliver Famine's plan to other resistance groups. In an instant, the Nazis bombard the fortress with heavy artilleries. Sasha manages to survive and fortuitously finds Anya in a destroyed house. However, he leaves her with the intention of returning later on. He mentions that he needs to deliver Famine's plan first before he comes back to her rescue. Sometime later, Sasha arrives at the NKVD battalion barracks. He discovers that the Soviet soldiers died, including their leader, Vanstein. Next, he goes to the eastern port through the lake. On his way to the barracks, he sees dead bodies. He realizes that these people were thirsty and attempted to reach the lake, yet died from the shooting. Meanwhile, Gavrilov's men continuously dig the ground in their barracks to find water. But, unfortunately, the water is mixed with petroleum, making it unable to consume. Luckily, Sasha reaches their barracks and brings a kettle of water to Gavrilov to share with them. He reports the joint breakthrough that Famine plans for this evening. Afterward, Sasha passes out from exhaustion. Night comes, and the Soviet resistance groups commence an attack on the Nazis. Again, the joint breakthrough goes according to plan. Famine's men hastily attack the Nazis at Koln Gate. Expectedly, the Nazis heavily shoot them. Numerous Soviet defenders are killed in an instant. Meanwhile, Gavrilov's men carefully move to the Nazis' position in the eastern port. They commence attack meter distance to them. The Nazis bomb most Soviet soldiers to death. Nevertheless, they continue to fight despite being outnumbered. At the same time, Kizhevatov's men hastily flee to fight the Nazis. However, as they swim the lake to reach the Nazis' position, they are shot to death remorselessly. Unfortunately, the joint breakthrough failed. The Nazis drive them back to their original posts. The Soviet soldiers suffer heavy losses in the battle. After some time, Fomin exhaustedly returns to their basement to witness their military doctor sleeping while operating. The doctor devastatingly reports to Fomin his incapability to save one of his men. Later, he walks out, then shot to death by the Nazis. Fomin is shocked. Morning, Sasha sees hundreds of dead soldiers lying on the ground. He returns back to where he found Anya fetching her. He finds her lying and provides her with water to drink. Immediately, they leave together. On the other hand, the basement of the 9th Frontier Barracks is crowded with injured civilians and soldiers. Kizhevatov stares at them while realizing how he failed to protect them. Hopeless, Kizhevatov reluctantly orders the surviving civilians, including his family, to leave the fortress. 15 minutes before the end of the ceasefire, Kizhevatov's wife leads the survivors on their way to the Nazis. First, they willingly surrender to save themselves. Then, unexpectedly, Kizhevatov sees Anya from a distance and hastily runs toward her. At ease, Kizhevatov finds Anya alive yet will part ways again as he forces her and Sasha to surrender to the Nazis. Kizhevatov and his men remain. The next day, the Nazis decided to drop a 2-ton bomb on the Brest fortress. The fortress explodes in an instant, leaving massive deaths and destruction. After that, the Nazis eradicates the fortress with military tanks and fire. The remaining civilians are killed remorselessly. On the other hand, Kolya manages to survive. However, he experiences unjust treatment from the Nazis. Then, unexpectedly, he sees Sonia lying dead on the ground. To retaliate, he picks up a grenade set to explode him and one of the Nazis. But, instead, he died lying next to Sonia. Meanwhile, the Soviet defenders at Kolm Gate are forced to surrender. Fomin, their leader, admits to being a Jew and communist as a commissar to the Nazis. Then, the Nazi firing squad unmercifully executed him. At the eastern port, Gavrilov orders his men to exit the fortress. He bids farewell to them as he stays in their barracks alone, waiting to get captured. Sometime later, Sasha returns to the 9th Frontier's barracks. He claims to have escaped the Nazis and goes deaf as a bomb goes off near him. Kizhevatov orders him to leave and survive so he can tell their story to the world. He hands him a banner to bring with him on his journey. Afterward, Kizhevatov orders his men to shoot the Nazis outside the vicinity while he takes cover for them. He continuously opens fire at the Nazis' position but falls dead when one of the Nazis throws him a grenade. Luckily, Sasha manages to flee the Brest fortress alone. However, rain dropped from the sky after days of the dry season and startled Sasha. In the present time, an old version of Sasha appears in front of the tombstones of the Soviet defenders and his family. Then, his grandson arrives, which looks exactly like the 15-year-old version. Finally, he narrates the story of the fortress that he once calls home, yet now no longer exists. The movie ends when Sasha reminisces about the happy memories in the Brest fortress and passes on his story to his grandson. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.